Hi everyone, it's Shel from Scrap Secrets and welcome back to my channel. For today's video, we're going to be creating a thank you card using a punny sentiment, and I'm going to be using the My Monthly Hero Arts kit from March to create this card. So here is the large stamp set that comes with the kit, and I chose the Thank You Cherry Much sentiment as well as the cherry stamps from that set. Oh, I'm taking a piece of 110-pound white cardstock that measures 4 by 5 1/4, and I used a piece of washi tape to mask off about the top third of it. It's probably a little bit more than a third, but I just lined it up on my grid and put the piece of washi tape down. Well, when I was looking for a card idea for this design, I saw a bunch of cards that had pattern paper on the bottom and then a focal point on the top. And since I did not have any cherry pattern paper, I know you guys are probably just as shocked as I am, because if you know me, you know that I hoard paper. Oh, I decided to go ahead and create it myself. So some of the things that you want to remember when you're creating your own pattern paper is to rotate the image if you want to have it not be symmetrical. So you can see here, I'm rotating the images, but then you also want to make sure that you have the images stamped off the side of the paper. Because if you think about it, when you cut down a piece of pattern paper, whether it be 6 by 6, 8.5 by 11, 12 by 12, whatever size, when you cut it down to the size for the card front or whatever you're putting it on, you will cut off part of that pattern. So when you're creating it to make it look like that's what it is, you also want to have part of the pattern cut off. So you can see there, the last one I stamped was just the stem and part of the cherry. And then right there, there is a small part of the cherries that actually is stamped onto the washi tape. And that's important to remember at the top as well, because you want to, again, make sure that it looks like you cut that pattern paper off there so that the pattern actually looks like it will continue off of the paper. So I am now stamping the sentiment a couple times in My Favorite Things ink, and I believe this is in Cherry Red. Well, the reason I'm stamping it a couple times is because these are photopolymer stamps, and there's always a film that's on there. I believe it's some kind of like chemical film from production that's on there. So generally I wipe my hand across it and it'll kind of buff it off. You can use a cloth, you can use a baby wipe, I've seen people use erasers. Some people have used Versamark to ink it up first and then stamped down their ink just to kind of condition your stamps. The more you use them, the more that film will fade away and you won't have to stamp them as many times. But the first time you use your stamps, you want to make sure you try to condition them. So once that is stamped out, I am going to put some Honeybee Bee Creative Glue onto a scrap piece of black cardstock, and that's going to be the delineation between the sentiment at the top as well as the pattern paper at the bottom. I'm going to use my Tim Holtz scissors to trim off the excess, and you can also see there that I stamped out 2 additional cherries. There are some dies that come in the set or in the kit, and I wanted to use them to accentuate or decorate the top part where just the sentiment is. So now I'm getting ready to color in the images. I did stamp them out in Lawn Fawn Jet Black ink because it is a Copic safe ink. So I'm coloring them in with G14 and G07 for the leaves, and since they're very, very tiny, there's not a lot of room to do some shading. Again, I'm not the best with Copic markers, but I like experimenting and trying to see, what different types of shading I can do, especially in small areas. So just kind of colored it in to what looked right to me. So I'm choosing a couple colors of red to color in these cherries, and that is RV29 and R37. I believe I use 2 more shades. I believe I use an R89 for the darkest part of the cherry, which is where the larger cherry overlaps the smaller cherry, and then this is R46 and I thought that was going to be the darkest color, but then I realized I needed what Courtney would always call a scary dark color. So I went back in, I believe it's either R59 or R89, but I believe it is R89, which you will see here. Yeah, R89. Went back in and just added that little bit of shading in. While I'm Copic coloring, I thought that I would do a real quick story time. So last Saturday, my brother-in-law got inducted into his school's Hall of Fame for sports. I think this is the second class that they've done. So they had a really nice dinner, and then all the inductees made speeches. So my sister and brother-in-law went, and I stayed back and watched the girls. Of course, Madeline said to me, "What craft stuff are we going to do?" Like the second I walked through the door. So I had brought over some watercolor paper as well as some goth glue. And if you don't know what that is, I will leave a link to the Instagram channel below, Andrea Nelson. She has some of the cutest art ideas for, like she says, kids and not kids. I get a lot of inspiration for projects for the girls from that. So cute. And you can adjust it, a lot of things like skill-wise, up or down. So she's got a lot of great ideas. And if it's anything like today's weather, like it's pouring rain outside, it would be a great time to look at those projects because most of the stuff she uses, you have lying around the house. So anyway, we were making projects and, Brooklyn makes about 50 in the same time Madeline makes 2. So Brooklyn had a bunch of them and then done projects. And I was like, you just need to calm down a little bit, slow down a little bit. And so we had ordered takeout. And she got the takeout bag and was taking scissors out and cutting it. And I'm like, what are you doing, Brooklyn? Why are you playing with the trash? And the next thing I know, she cut about the top half of it off. And then in the front of it, she made kind of like a blockish looking U cut out so that it was a container that she could store her and Madeline's art projects in. That was the cutest thing ever. I was like, you are so stinking creative, Brooklyn. And, I never would have thought to do that, especially using trash, basically, to do it. But she wanted to have a container that she could have all her artwork in. So when my sister and brother-in-law came home, they could look through it and they could see everything that they had done that day. So very cute. I wish I had taken a picture of it. I'll have to see if my sister has one. And if she does, I will either put it up on Instagram or maybe pop it in another one of these videos. So back to the card. I finished Copic coloring. I used my white gel pen on the cherries to put some highlights on it. Off screen, I colored the other 2 remaining cherries, ran them through my die cut machine, and now I'm going to be using some foam squares to pop those cherries up onto the sides of the sentiment. One is going to go on the bottom left, one is going to go on the top right. And then after those are on there, I decide we need a little bit more sparkle. So I take my Spectrum Noir sparkle pen and go over top of all of the cherry images. Now, earlier I told you guys that this white piece of cardstock measured 4 by 5 1/4. It does not, because this black card base actually measures 5 by 6 1/2. So the paper measures 4 3/4 by 6 1/4, I believe. So I'm using my Honeybee Bee Creative Glue to add glue to the back of it, and then Lucy steps on my desk. So I tried to get her off of the desk. She really did not want to move. We kind of just let her do pretty much, as long as she's not hurting herself, I kind of let her do pretty much whatever she wants to do, trying to keep her happy and healthy since Fred has passed, and just trying to do everything that I can to make her okay again. So kind of just, let her do this. And she will make an appearance again, which is why you don't see at the very end, or in the beginning, you saw that there were gems on the card. Those are Honeybee gems. I added those afterwards, but Lucy was sitting right here, and basically all you were seeing was the side of her fluff. She likes to be up on the desk with me and, be in all of my videos. So there's your side glimpse of Lucy. But I'm just adding the Spectrum Noir sparkle pen to all of the cherries. And then, like I said, off screen, I will add those gems. So that's the card for today. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you have comments or questions, leave them below. And I'll see you again real soon for another video. Bye.